Well, this is a breaking story. Just minutes ago, we're learning from federal sources who've told Fox News that ICE has now arrested 130 Iranian nationals just in the past 7 days. Now, the previous number that we had heard about was 11. That grew to 16, now over 100. Now, you see the other number there, 670 Iranian nationals currently in ICE detention.
Maybe their next home will be in Florida. Alligator Alcatraz, the state's brand new escape-proof detention center in the Everglades, set to open in as soon as 60 days, surrounded by Florida's finest. Gators, pythons, swamp creatures galore.
Now, naturally, many on the left can't stand that. In fact, they can't stand any type of immigration enforcement. Democrats grilling Attorney General Pam Bondi on the Hill earlier today about her department's priorities.
Will national security be compromised? Not at all, Senator. It will be increased. It will be enhanced. I can tell you, every day we talk about this multiple times a day, 7 days a week, as to what we can do, working hand in hand with DEA, ATF agents, FBI, Homeland Security, ICE, to make sure that our nation is safe.
Here to discuss, former FBI special agent and Fox News contributor Nicole Parker. Nicole, it's great to have you. Thanks for being here. I am not joking when I say this. The alligators are not inside the prison. If you don't try to escape, everything will be fine. What's the problem?
Well, I'm here in Miami. It's 45 miles west of downtown Miami, and I think it's a brilliant idea because, you know, we've been hearing about all these prison breaks recently. They won't have a problem with that because they are surrounded by pythons, alligators, mosquitoes. And obviously the environmentalists here are absolutely, you know, melting down about this. But this is what the colossal mess is that the Trump administration has walked into. The Biden administration allowed the border to be open for 4 years, allowing people from our, adversarial nations, such as Iran, to come in here. And it is absolutely important that there are detention facilities that they are put in, that they will remain safe and no longer a threat to the communities in which they're surrounded by. And that's what Alligator Alcatraz will do.
Nicole, you mentioned Iran, and look, I'm sure that there are a lot of people who have come from that totalitarian, theocratic regime seeking freedom in this country because they hate the regime. That makes perfect sense. I would want out too. But among those people, especially if they're coming in illegally, there could very well be some very dangerous people. We don't know who they are. It's virtually impossible to vet them. Who knows about the gotaways, people that we don't even know are here or where they are, who they are, et cetera. To see that number rising of Iranian nationals being arrested and put into federal custody, tell us your insights there. What's going on here?
I think that's outstanding that they are finding those that could be a potential threat to our nation's national security. And I think that number is going to continue to skyrocket. Again, when you leave the border open and you allow people to cross into our country, uninhibited, that's what happens. I was a witness to the 9/11 terrorist attacks. I was working for Merrill Lynch. I was down there. I saw the impact of what terrorism does to our nation. We cannot take a chance and allow that to happen. And for those that think that, we don't have people inside, our nation at this point that want to harm us, that I think is very naive. But what I do feel confident in is that the Trump administration has a handle and they know what is going on. At the FBI, they are obviously putting a lot of resources into this right now, potential cyber attacks, counterterrorism, things that our country really cares about. Really, frankly, what all they needed to do was take all of the resources from January 6th, which they worked for 4 years, the largest ever investigation in DOJ history, and let's move it to some violations that Americans actually care about, like our cyber security, being protected from foreign terrorist organization groups, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Nicole, in the aftermath, as we were going through this conflict between Israel and Iran, there was a lot of concern that going after Iran the way President Trump did to, disarm its nuclear capabilities could potentially awaken a bigger giant, sleeper cells around the world, maybe even in this country. Is that why ICE has ramped up its detainment of Iranians that are illegally in this country?
Right. I mean, they know exactly what they're doing. They know of the potential threats, and they are addressing them and aggressively. And that is exactly the right thing to do. They've got a very, very close handle on this. I heard Attorney General Pam Bondi talking about the resources and what they're doing. They have been working around the clock 24/7 to keep our nation safe. And that gives me a certain level of comfort, because I can tell you under the last administration and the last FBI, that is not how I felt. And so Americans, you can rest assured, they're fully aware of the threats. They're putting the resources where they need to go. They're not naive to what's happening in our country. We know that there's people potentially in our country that want to harm us, and they will address that appropriately. But one thing I do know is with President Trump, if you cross that line and if you ever touch an American, there will be a severe consequence. And I think that they know that. And I think that that will actually curb them stepping out of line, because they know better than to do that with President Trump.
All right. Yeah. Nicole Parker, thank you so much for your time this evening. And I totally agree with you that certainly they're all over this. But with that open border, there are a lot of people who are here and we don't even know who they are. So that's one of the worries. We're following it, of course. Nicole, thank you.